Hello, I'm going to tell you a story about Harriet Tubman, who you may have heard of before. It's really neat to learn about people who lived long ago and see the ways that they followed Jesus. I wonder if we can follow God in any of the ways that these people did. Harriet Tubman was not called Harriet when she was born. When she was born, her parents named her Araminta, and they called her Minty for short. Her parents loved her very, very much. She was born sometime around 1822, so it was about 200 years ago. That's a long time ago. We don't know the exact date that she was born because she was born into slavery. When people were enslaved, they weren't considered very important, and other people didn't record specific dates like when they were born. So we don't know exactly when she was born. Slavery is when someone thinks that they can own another person. People who were enslaved had to work very, very long hours, and they often had to do very hard and very dangerous work. If they did something that their master didn't like, they could be punished. They had a very hard life, and the person who owned them could even sell them to someone else or could sell their children to someone else as if they were an object. Minty and her family were enslaved during this time, and there were many, many other people who were too. Minty didn't go to school when she was growing up because people who were enslaved were not allowed to learn to read or write. She did go to church though, and she liked going to church. She learned about scriptures and the hymns, and she learned about singing songs. She learned about Moses. She liked the stories about Moses and leading his people to freedom. Even though she didn't learn to read, her father took her out to the woods and taught her about trees and plants and the night sky, and he showed her where the North Star was, and he showed her that the North Star could guide somebody who was outside at night. As Minty grew older, she grew closer to God. Somebody later said that she spoke to God as if she were just speaking to a good friend of hers. God was her friend, and in her own words, she said, "God was always near. He gave me my strength, and he set the North Star in heavens and meant it for me to be free." When Minty was about 12 years old, someone nearby tried to escape from slavery. They got caught and they got punished. And as they were being punished, Minty stepped in front of them and stepped between them and the overseer. And she got hit in the head with a really heavy metal object. It injured her very severely, and she almost died. It took her a really, really long time to recover. And even after she did recover, she was never totally the same. She would have seizures sometimes, and she would suffer from fainting spells. She had a lot of headaches. But something strange and also kind of wonderful happened after that injury. She came closer to God, and God came closer to her. And she knew just what God wanted her to do. She changed her name to Harriet, which was her mother's name. God spoke to her in her dreams and visions and told her that it was almost time for her to be free. When the day came for her to escape for freedom, Harriet wanted to tell her friends and family that she was leaving, but it was much too dangerous to talk about her plans out loud. So she sang about them. She sang a song that said, "When the old chariot comes, I'm going to leave you. I'm bound for the promised land, friends. I'm going to leave you." She hoped that through singing the song, they would know that she was saying goodbye. She traveled a long and hard journey. She hid in the woods during the day, and she followed the North Star at night like her father taught her. She traveled through dangerous swamps, through rivers and marshlands, and people were trying to look for her all the while. She didn't stop until she reached Pennsylvania, and it took many, many days and even weeks for her to arrive there. But once she got there to freedom, it wasn't quite right. She didn't want freedom only for herself. She felt like a stranger in a strange land with all her friends and family back in Maryland. She began to work at a job, and she saved her money so that she could go back to Maryland and help other people escape. So she went back, all the way back to the place where she had been enslaved. She rescued her niece and her niece's children, and she led them through the dangerous marshes and the swamps, and they were helped by many people along the way too, staying in their houses, and the path that they took was called the Underground Railroad. Finally, they made it to safety, and then Harriet worked again and saved money again, and she went back again to Maryland to lead more people on that path of the Underground Railroad. And then she went back again and again and again. She went back at least 13 times, risking herself along the way and rescuing people and bringing them to freedom. Sometimes it got too dangerous even to stay in Pennsylvania, and so she had to lead the people even farther north, all the way up to Canada. She traveled so much because she was listening to God. God was also with her as she was leading the people. God gave her the vision and the direction, and then she herself took action to follow the vision and the direction and lead people to freedom. People started to call her Moses because, like Moses in the Bible, she led her people out of slavery and to freedom.